Our next honoree, Vernon Odom, has been at the heart and soul of Philadelphia news for more than 4 decades. You could even say he's been sharing a spotlight with another WPVI news legend. Vernon was born into a family with a deep history in journalism that dates back to the 19th century. His maternal grandfather was the second African American to publish a daily newspaper. His sister, Maida, was a veteran reporter at the Philadelphia Inquirer and contributor to the Boston Globe. And he's married to former Inquirer reporter Wanda Motley. His experience dates back to the Martin Luther King Jr. assassination, when Vernon was a radio reporter in Atlanta. He would cover various phases of the civil rights movement in the Deep South, along with the early political campaigns of national figures such as Jimmy Carter, Andrew Young, and Julian Bond. Vern graduated from Morehouse College in 1970 with a postgraduate degree in broadcast journalism from Columbia University.
Action News.
In the spring of 1976, Vernon brought his talents in journalism to the Delaware Valley and joined the Action News team.
And as Vernon Odom reports tonight,
quickly becoming a big voice, covering the big story.
This learning experience and trip back into history will continue.
The list of major events he's covered is endless, including every presidential campaign starting from 1976, the 3 Mile Island disaster, the MOVE confrontations, the Clarence Thomas confirmation hearings, the Clinton-Lewinsky White House scandal, and the O.J. Simpson trial. And that's just stateside. Internationally, Mr. Odom has reported from Latin America, Europe, Africa, most notably during the release of Nelson Mandela from prison and later the first free election in South Africa. He was there as the U.S. invaded Somalia, logged visits just prior to the fall of the Soviet Empire, and he was on the scene for the release of U.S. hostages from Beirut. Whether he's standing on the scene of breaking news, 2 feet of blinding snow, or even a Super Bowl win, we've come to count on Vern to bring us the big story with a big voice.
That's the word, Lisa and Mark, from right down here at 10th and Filbert in Center City.
He was inducted into the Philadelphia Broadcast Pioneers Hall of Fame in 2004. And tonight, please put your hands together as we celebrate our 2018 Person of the Year, Vernon Odom.
I'm going to repeat some things that have already been said, but so be it. It wasn't long after I came to Channel 6 that I had to interview Frank Rizzo. I was 28 years old, and I was a tad anxious. So it was the first time I entered his inner sanctum, and he stands up and bellows, "Jimmy Gardner, you tell Vernon Odom to treat me fair, okay?" Well, Vernon didn't go particularly easy on Frank Rizzo, nor Bill Green, nor Wilson Good, nor Ed Rendell, nor John Street, nor Michael Nutter, nor Jim Kenney. But I have never heard any one of these men say that Vernon Odom was unfair to them. You can add to that list the likes of Jimmy Tyoon, Thatcher Longstreth, Tom Follietta, Bill Gray, Tom Ridge, Dick Thornburg. It sounds like Vernon goes back a while, and he does. And here's an impressive number. Vernon has been reporting news at Channel 6 for 17% of the time since America declared its independence. And if you want to measure the time since the end of the American Revolution, it would be 18%. When Vernon came to Channel 6, Gerald Ford was president, and there have been 7 more since. And the fact is, Vernon has reported the nominating conventions and the inaugurations of all or almost all of these historic figures. But the fact is that Vernon had a good deal of experience with historical figures before he came to Channel 6, and for that matter, before he was a professional journalist. You see, his father, Vernon Odom Sr., was a major civil rights leader in Ohio. In fact, there is a boulevard named after him in Akron, Ohio. And his classmate at Morehouse College was a guy by the name of Martin Luther King. So names like Whitney Young and James Farmer and John Lewis and Roy Wilkins and, of course, Dr. King were central to Vernon's consciousness when he was an adolescent and a young adult. And as a radio and television reporter in Atlanta in the late 60s and early 70s, figures like Andrew Young, Julian Bond, Maynard Jackson, Jimmy Carter, Lester Maddox, and of course, Jesse Jackson were frequent subjects of Vernon's interviews. And so Vernon brought with him to Philadelphia a certain kind of knowledge, a certain kind of experience, a certain kind of context that back in the middle 1970s made him a unique television journalist, brilliantly suited to tell the stories of Frank Rizzo's controversial reign, Wilson Good's historic tenure, and of course the story of Move. If you were given permission to enter Vernon Odom's memory bank, my hunch is that perhaps his most memorable experience was to report from South Africa upon the occasion of the release of Nelson Mandela. But television news being the way it is, no reporter can afford to be too specialized. So even though Vernon, in my mind, has been the most excellent political reporter in 40 years in Philadelphia, he has done every manner of story, of course, and as we saw before, standing out in 3 feet of snow during a howling nor'easter may not have been his most favorite journalistic enterprise. So all of this alludes to Vernon's capacity, his ability, but it says little about Vernon's place in our newsroom and in our hearts. His desk in our newsroom is something of a way station for members of the Action News team, where the conversation is about politics and history and philosophy and sports and life. Vernon is never shy about expressing his opinion, but he listens with interest and respect while you are expressing yours. As long as we are speaking of respect, I know of nobody in our newsroom who garners more of it than Vernon, both professionally and personally. So I respect him for his wealth of knowledge, his commitment to quality, his humor, and most importantly, his devotion to his family. Vernon has always demonstrated in both word and deed his recognition of the fact that there are few things more important in this life than education. His children have hit the jackpot. His son Lane is a senior at Johns Hopkins University, and his daughter Corinne graduated last year from the University of Virginia. They are extraordinarily smart young people, and they will do magnificent things. When Vernon's paternal judgment is a tad clouded by the force of his love, he is so very lucky to have Wanda as the mother of his children. And by the way, Wanda may be one of the most competent people in the entire Delaware Valley. My wife has done a number of education-related projects with her, and Amy is blown away by the force of her ability and her personality. And so this is a special family, and this is a special man. He is the object of our admiration, our respect, and our affection. It has been my honor to introduce Vernon almost every night on television for the last 42 years. So it is my honor to do so as well here tonight as the Broadcast Pioneers Man of the Year.
Thank you, man. This is really, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming tonight and for the warm applause and the handshakes and the show of affection and respect I've received during the cocktail party this evening. It was magnificent, coming from old friends, from persons who preceded me as outstanding broadcasters in Philadelphia, and from the young people from Westchester University, from Stockton College. They were all very magnificent and wanted insights into broadcasting and things like that. Jim, thank you for that tremendous introduction. My career has only been enhanced and inspired by being your colleague for more than 42 years now. The standards you've set and lived up to every single day at work have fueled and carried the incredible success our station has had for all of these years. Thank you again, James. Let's please give him a hand. His stamina and intellectual curiosity carry us all and inspire us all to do our best. We've covered so much across the years, and it is wonderful. And I might point out that Jim says I've been around for all this time of American history. He was there every minute of it, too, but he neglected telling me about that. My thanks to the management of 6ABC for affording me the opportunity to travel near and far to do what I've done, where I've done it, and with whom I've done it. I'm very grateful, and it's wonderful. My thanks to the broadcast pioneers for once again recognizing my work for over 4 decades here in the Delaware Valley. I was inducted into the Pioneers Hall of Fame back in '04, an extraordinary honor to be brought in to stand with such talented and trailblazing broadcasters in this town. I pay tribute to the leaders of the Pioneers for being visionaries. They were back then, and they've stayed that way as they've grown and developed this magnificent organization. They've started inducting key people from behind the scenes of television news photographers who are key to the success of news operations with their courage, their artistry, their work ethic, and their pride in what they do. And to producers who apply their craft off camera but have so much impact and influence on what our viewers see on a daily and hourly basis. Their focus on everything from context to placement to good taste are essential to the quality of the product. I want to give a special congratulations to all of tonight's new inductees. You will continue to realize after this night and through the years what an honor it is to be chosen by fellow broadcasters who trailblazed the way for you, and their recognition is something special, and you will see and you will grow for it. It'll put you almost into a new orbit. My wife is here to observe this occasion with me, as she, of course, was in '04. I thank her for being there every day with devotion and loving support. Our children were here in '04. They were running around. They were very excited to be up that late at night to see their father honored. How time goes by. They're young adults now. Our daughter, Corinne, after graduating from college, is teaching at a charter high school in Memphis, Tennessee. Our son, Vernon Lane III, is about to graduate from Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. He's very business and profit-oriented. Together with my wife, Wanda, we have raised 2 wonderful children who make us proud 24/7. My sister made us here tonight on behalf of her older brother. She remains a dedicated and impactful professor of journalism at Temple University after 2 decades as a front-page, award-winning reporter at the Philadelphia Inquirer. Regularly now, to show you how time goes, I'm running into her students out here covering major stories and growing in their own chosen profession. Ever praising Professor Odom for the things she taught them at the university level. Friends of mine tonight, I want to mention Rick and Gloria Hawkins, a couple I met within minutes, it seems, of arriving in Philadelphia. They've been there for me and my family through good times and tough times in life, always giving their unconditional support. So too, Cherise Lily McGill, who's here tonight, and her husband, Tom, who is at another family commitment tonight. 2 of our town's most prominent attorneys and 2 of the best friends you could ever have in good times and in bad. At age 70, one day I'll retire from daily reporting, but not to sit on the couch. I plan to write at least one book, an opportunity to finally empty what you call the reporter's notebook of stories and insights and intriguing situations untold to the public, some tragic, some ironic, all colorful, some tributes to the greatness of the human spirit, and some stories about the pure evil of human beings. All will be very incisive. Colleagues and friends have been prodding me to do this book for many years now, and finally, at some point, I will have time to reflect and put it out there. I will have time for more civic engagement, to speak to community organizations and groups and learn more from them. I plan to lecture one day at colleges and universities to offer insight into news that is now part of history and connect it with analysis of the treacherous and tumultuous times in which we live today and tomorrow. I may not have solutions, folks, but I can tell them, all who will listen, what the hell is going on out here and why. I will be doing some voiceover work, an interest I've had for many years since I was 9 years old when our parents bought me a Philco radio with the tubes all out of the side and the 9-second cutoff point so that my father could run up the steps and catch me listening to that instead of doing my homework sometimes. I know it's because of my consistent body of work that the broadcast pioneers have called me back for an honor to be named Person of the Year. I know it's because of a consistent body of work I've produced over the years, a body of work about which me and my family are ever so proud, along with my close friends and colleagues. I'm very proud. Gentlemen, I cherish your praise and recognition for what I've done since I came to this wonderful town 42 years ago and dove headfirst into telling its incredible stories. I have learned over the years, traveling here and abroad, that Philly is the real crossroads of America. I am ever so proud of my contributions and proud to have them recognized. So I thank you very much for hearing me out tonight, and I'm going to keep on plugging there. Thank you, folks, very much. Thank you very much. Our mom and dad, who passed away 20 years ago, would be so proud of me and my sister, and my wife and our children. So thank you so much for hearing me out, folks. Thank you.